Had to use my little wrench real quick.
Ah,
Had to use my little orange wrench real quick. Tighten up these damn screws on this
DIY
boom.
shit live on camera. Fuck it.
Yeah, and make sure my mic is
Yo,
on point.
the white people gotta hurry up and come get us. We need help.
Hopefully,
Yo,
come get us. Black folks with the money, come get us.
when the money come get us, we need help.
I taught it how I see if I don't hold my. How you see? I'll hate you some why.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy REEMO, aka Mr. Rich Threads. I'm here with my esteemed
Come on, man.
co-host.
Where's the rest of the
Alright,
AKAs?
alright, alright, alright.
We need the whole line. Matter of fact, we need a drum roll on this damn thing.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy REEMO, aka Mr. Rich Threads, aka Mr. Let's Talk Fashion, aka the Prince of Brooklyn, aka the Prince of Fashion or the King of Fashion, aka to the aka to aka.
Yes.
Welcome back to another episode of the Casuals. I got my spilling, and I'm with my boy Aunt McQueen of Casuals Corners.
Sir.
Mr. Computer be computing. What else we got for you, Aunt?
Right on the computer, love is sound like computer love.
Hey, what's going on, Aunt, man? We burning the midnight oil tonight, man.
There we go. You know, same old same. Keeping it casual, keeping everything suave.
Yeah. We gotta get ghetto one of these days on them, but not today. Not today. We got things to do.
I'm right there on the verge, man. Like I'm damn near at the tipping point.
Don't
Shout
worry.
out
Don't
to
worry.
Malcolm Gladwell.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there just now. So let's just jump right into it, man. It got a little ghetto in Paris, like, you know what I'm saying? we had Crips as ambassadors and Martha Stewart hanging out. She was in the pen, holding it down. And they did a hell of a job though, because the viewership numbers I heard was kind of crazy over there when it came to the Olympics, because who was watching track and field before? And we got what's shorty name? Shakari. She was dusting people and giving them the stank look on the way to the finish line. And you got Olympians talking trash to each other. Lyles talking to the NBA players. And you got Tyreek Hill talking crazy to Lyles. And the energy is, it makes us feel like we right at home, man. What you thought about the Olympics so far? Well, it's done now, but what you thought about what you've seen?
Looks like USA is back to prominence, man. They were cleaning up. How many gold medals did they get? I know overall the records was the medals were crazy.
Yeah. We the last time we checked, I think we was at 19 gold and like 20 something total. And I know we kept winning after that, but we looking good now, man. Because I was kind of nervous. I ain't gonna lie, and I was kind of scared.
For sure, because that was the narrative for some time, right? That the rest of the world had caught up.
Yeah, in all sports.
Damn thing, man.
So we ended up with 124 total, 40 gold, 44 silver, 42 bronze.
Ooh.
Second behind us was China, tying us with 40 golds, but 27 versus 44 silvers and 24 bronze medals, which gave them a total of 91. And then after that was Japan, 20, 12, 13 total, and 45 total medals. So we came out of there looking kind of prominent, man. And what I say, 126. That votes well for us, because
that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. I thought I could cheese a little bit more. Damn, I gotta give me some Olympic apparel for the next go around, man.
I might have to get an Olympic tattoo right on my face, right here. Like
you gotta relax. You gotta relax.
You said we was going ghetto with the show, man. I might need an Olympic tattoo.
Yeah, that's kind of wild, man. But we just
Yeah,
podcasters, bro. We gotta go to work and stuff the next day, man. But I get it. I mean, yo, go for it. How about that? Go for it.
why not?
Like, yo,
Why not?
they
Why
be so
not?
crazy in the comments. Yo, you see his tattoo? He not even an Olympian.
Listen, man, I'm a YouTube Olympian.
That's a
We gonna
fact.
make it happen.
Facts. We winning over. We winning
Make it
over
happen.
here. Speaking about winning, man, the men out of all of the gold medals, I think the men's basketball was kind of one of the hardest fought ones that we've had in a long time. Leading up from that Serbia game, where I ain't gonna lie, I thought we was out of here, dog. I thought they had us. We was down 17 points at one point, and we was just clawing through it. And they was trolling my man Melo. I definitely didn't appreciate that at all. At all. Three to the
Before we
head.
got to that game during the exhibition, man,
Yeah.
with South Sudan, I was shook. I was like,
Oh
oh.
yeah. That 1 point victory, LeBron had to take. Not all superheroes wear capes, but LeBron had to come out and save us. But we were kind of worried because we didn't know what to expect from the team overall. Because these teams actually get a chance to play with each other throughout the year, and they're playing for a whole different feel, a whole different reason than we're playing for. We're playing for to win, but the pride that they have in a country, they play way harder than they play in the NBA. I'll tell you that much.
For sure, for sure. And I think that part of it is what you just said, the pride in the country. With a lot of these other countries, right? They're athletes. They're bred on amateurism to where it's all about the pride of the country and so on and so forth. Where over here, it's all about the professional game.
Yeah.
It's all
That's
about the
the main stage.
professional game and securing the bag. You want to get that big contract. On top of that, you want to lock in those endorsements and all these other opportunities that will bring you more bags. Whereas over there, it's just drilled into their minds. Yo, it's all about the country.
Country,
It's
yeah,
all about the pride. And that comes even before the last name on the back of your jersey, your uniform, whatever it is that you're wearing.
yeah.
The pride of the country comes first. So yeah,
And
you spot on with that, man.
some of these dudes that's winning, they got lifetime food supply in their home country. They giving them a house and board. They giving them cars. So their incentives are totally different.
Yep.
But back to the game itself, where they actually did end up beating Serbia in a nail biter. I guess matter of fact, shout out to Carmelo because Carmelo took he took over the role in the fourth quarter, and he became a coach on the sideline where he was calling plays out to the team like, yo, forget Steve Kerr, do what I'm saying, and it worked.
Right.
He called an ISO play for KD at the top of the key. He waved everybody off. Somehow or another they listened to him from the sideline, and it actually worked, man. And I was just like, that was kind of crazy. One of the biggest storylines that came out of that game in itself, though, Jason Tatum did not get to play in that game at all. He played a total of 0 minutes. How'd you feel about witnessing that?
They still got the dub, so it was a good decision by Steve Kerr and the assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I want to jog back real quick, just briefly. I'm not sure if you saw Carmelo's comments in that interview he did recently where he was asked the question
Mm-hmm.
of whether or not he would trade in his Olympic gold medals. If I'm not mistaken, he's got 3.
But yeah, 3 gold medals and 1 bronze, I believe.
He was asked the question whether or not he would trade in those gold medals for an NBA championship. And he said personally that he wouldn't. What
He
are your
would.
thoughts on that?
I
He said
think
that he wouldn't.
he would not.
He said that he wouldn't. He said that he
Okay.
wouldn't.
Oh damn. You know what? I might call bullshit on that. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. If he could trade one of them in for a chip, I think because that's the only thing that has eluded him from his career. That's the one single achievement from being a champion in college his freshman year, multi-time All-Star. He's an Olympian. He's definitely first ballot Hall of Fame material. Scoring champion. He's been on top of the he's on top 10 in scoring ever in the game in like history. That's
Right.
the one thing that I say eluded him. And he played in a tough era. And to be honest with you, if he would have been drafted by the team that he should have been drafted by, we would have probably thought about LeBron's career a little bit different because he would have been the first one with a chip with that Detroit Pistons team.
Oh yeah.
So he would have got one before Wade and before Braun. And he was on a team that probably could have been a dynasty team. So I probably call bullshit on that one. But if the GOAT said it, fuck it. Who am I?
I felt he was very sincere in what he was saying and his reasoning behind it.
Mhm.
And a lot of it had to do with what you said before about the pride and the nationalism and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And when you really think about it, only a select few guys get to be a part of that. And I don't want to diminish the Larry O'Brien in any type of way, right?
Yeah.
But every year that shit is up for grabs.
Yeah. Well, if you put it in that perspective, yes.
The Olympics, a gold medal is only up every 4 years.
Every 4
And then
years.
you also think about how many guys never got to be a part of it.
Only 12. Only,
See what I'm saying?
Only 12 is invited per year.
Yo, it was to the point where for the longest time there was a huge, I don't want to go as far as to say a beef, but a discrepancy between Isaiah Thomas and them guys that were on the Dream Team because he felt as though he got snubbed, he got left
slighted.
off.
Yeah.
Yo, remember how he bust John Stockton's ass because he felt like he was more deserved. Like, yo, Isaiah damn near went on a revenge tour after being left off the Olympic team. And to this day, it's still a point of contention. Like, yo, he should have been on there, but he felt like, you know what I mean? Like he got snubbed, like he got left off.
I'll take one step further. Recently, I just heard Baron Davis having a gripe about that as well, complaining that, he felt as though he just wasn't invited, and there wasn't 5 guards better than him not to be invited during the height of his career.
So I always felt like Coach K would hate on me. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I was right about that. You know what I mean? So I wasn't tripping.
Why do you say you was right about that?
Because he hated on me.
When? How?
During the Olympic tryouts.
I
was coming off of 23, 8, and didn't get a tryout. So
I feel
that's
that
big hate. You know what I mean? Bro, I can't get a tryout? Like, name 30 people better than me. Okay, name 12. Name 4 guards better than me. Okay, cool. Now, can I practice against them? Now, ask them niggas that. All right, enough said.
We seen Gilbert Arenas say the same thing, that he took it personal. And then the next time he seen each of those players that played above him or that got selected on the Olympic team, he made sure he bust their ass. Like, this guy wasn't better than me. So what you're saying is fitting. It is.
And also you made a point too. It's only 12 spots on that team.
Only 12.
And them 12 spots only open up every 4 years.
Yeah.
So when I heard Melo the way he explained it, because at first I was kind of like, you would give up the gold medal for a chip. But then when he explained it, when he was talking about the national and the point that you just made now, I'm just like, yo, that is an extremely rare opportunity just by the nature of it not coming around as frequently as, a trip to the finals. That's not to say that, of course, I'm sure he would have liked to have, and he came close. Remember the Denver Nuggets, they made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, a couple bad inbounds plays didn't bounce their way, and it went the other way. I got a question for you though, before we even get back to the games. Right? Ready for this one? Carmelo
Yes, sir.
Anthony might be viewed as one of the greatest Olympic and basketball players of all time. He's second in scoring overall. I believe he's first in rebounds or second in rebounds now. I think Kevin Durant might have passed him overall. He has the highest scoring Olympic game ever with 37. I believe Steph just had 36 and had a phenomenal game for them to win. But in most other countries, the pride of the players are given the nod to until they bow out. You just seen Batum still plays for his team. You have Luis Scola, he played for his team. Argentina has, players that been out in the NBA for some time. Do you think that Melo should have been given the opportunity to have some kind of role in his team, or his time has passed? Yeah, I think.
Given what you said before about him coaching from the sideline, I wouldn't even mind him being involved in that capacity.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind seeing him be involved in that capacity.
Because I
As an
remember the
assistant
last time he
coach,
attempted to play, right? He was told, being that he wasn't on a roster, that they didn't want him to be a distraction. But he's basically Captain America himself,
yeah.
So just a food of thought, man.
Well, whether they have him in a playing role or they have him in a coaching role in some capacity,
Yeah.
I definitely think he's worthy of being involved, especially if the guys who are playing are responsive to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely
Get him
agree.
involved some way, somehow.
Yeah, player development, something.
Right.
You know, I believe there should be a role for Melo. But back to the game versus France, right? Started off hot. Wemby, 20 years old. 20 years old. He's a fearless man. The NBA is in trouble. The world is in trouble, man. This kid is good.
He
He's
is.
he's 7'7" or something like that, but he moves like a guard. Mentally, his frame of mind is just there already. He's a pro at 20 years old, and I believe he's gonna be a problem, for the foreseeable future. But the USA, they turned it on. They turned it on at the right time. The right players showed up in the biggest moments. LeBron did LeBron like things, man. I don't know where he gets the energy from. KD showed up in big moments, but the night the night really was saved by Mr. Curry. His first time in the Olympic Games, had an amazing game leading up to that game, and then he showed up big to close out the show with about 30 something seconds to go. Hit a big shot over a double team to bring home the goal. Now, my question to you would be is, moving forward, being that a couple of these stars are aging, they might be aged out. I think this is the last time we've seen KD. More than likely, the last time we've seen Braun. Steph, I don't think we get Steph again. Now, with the youngsters that you have, how do you implement somebody like Tatum back into the system and it be okay for him to accept?
I think that one way to implement him would be similar to the role that he's had with the Boston Celtics this past year.
Mhm.
I think that many of us, we expect him to take on that Kobe type of role, be the primary scorer, and so on and so forth. I think the area in which Jason Tatum has grown the most is with his ability to facilitate.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, he led the Celtics in assists this year, assists per game. I could be wrong, but I know he's up there.
Mhm.
And I felt like that's where he grew leaps and bounds. He seems to have a better understanding of the game as a whole. And I still think that he's got room to grow as a scorer in terms of his shot selection because the skill is clearly there. I do feel like there are some moments where he settles a little bit,
Yeah, yeah.
particularly from the perimeter.
It settles
I
for
think he
outside.
leaves a little bit to be desired as a 3-point shooter.
Mm.
But overall, I think that his feel for the game has grown tremendously. He doesn't seem to force as many shots as he did in years prior, and he's a lot more willing to give the ball up or even use himself as a decoy. And then he's also a pretty damn good rebounder too.
Yeah, he's excellent on the board. I must say that. My only takeaway is that there's a couple of young guys that's on that team already kind of at the same timeline as him
Mm-hmm.
that was getting some playing time. And then his co-host that's, over there in Boston with him, he wasn't selected on the team either. And we've seen players, like we said earlier, that took chips coming from not being picked, or players that, were on the team that didn't get a lot of playing time, like Melo and young LeBron. They took a whole different mind frame and the mindset coming into the season following, where they were just trying to bust everybody out. You remember Ballhead Dwayne Wade? He went crazy after that Olympics. So it's like, I think they might have created a monster and opened up a whole nother door because he paying. I think he's the number one. His contract is probably the highest contract in the league right now. Number one, yeah, I believe it's number one. And you're playing behind a young Ant Edwards. You're playing behind Devin Booker. Shit, you're playing behind your own teammates, White and Holiday.
Mm.
That gotta instill something in you. Jordan Brand just created a brand new pair of sneakers for him for the Olympics. He's on the cover of 2K, but you're not playing. Somewhere inside, it's gonna light a fire under his ass, and I think the league might get put on notice next year that it's my time, and this is why. So I think moving
Quite
forward,
possibly. Quite possibly. Or he could be one of those just consummate
pros,
team
professionals,
guys, man. Yeah, just one of those team guys. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that either. I think for him, it's just a matter of just growing as an offensive player because he's a damn good defender,
yeah,
good on the boards. I think that he's grown as a facilitator. I think now the next step for him is just finding a way to continuously get to the spots that he wants to get to and just becoming a more efficient scorer.
yeah. I think he should go lock in with Melo and learn a little bit more of that post move. He gets some post game work, dude. Like he really like 6'9". I mean, but he doesn't play like with size, so they figure it out though, man. I think they still got some time there, and they're still young, and they got a really good core around them. So once he doesn't get outside of the system, but he just hones in on what he's supposed to do, I think the NBA might be in trouble next season, man. But
On that though, how you feeling about that opening night matchup? That's who they playing. The
who
Knicks.
that?
They playing Celtics.
Oh,
Opening night. And I was looking at the projected lineups and seeing how they match up. I'm like, damn, that's a damn good matchup
I just
on
think
paper.
The Knicks still got a glaring issue in the center that they have to address. But other than that, I think that the Knicks probably got the best defensive lineup in the NBA throughout, like 1 to 4, position 1 to 4. Losing Hartenstein might be a issue, but I think they'll figure it out, man. They'll figure it
I
out.
think so as well. I think just having these two dudes in the starting lineup together, Bridges and Anunoby.
Yeah, yeah.
Anunoby, if he stays healthy, them two guys on the wings is
Lock up season, boy.
crazy.
And then you got a pesty Hart when he comes in. He's just annoying. And those guys gonna play for each other because they actually, been teammates before. So it's gonna
That's the
be,
other thing too. Getting them guys back as reserves is going to be
man, it's gonna
It's
be
going to give them a lot of depth because you're going to have DiVincenzo back on the bench. You're going to have Hart back on the bench.
Yep.
Then you got McBride, Achua. We got Campaign too.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay. I like Achua too. I like Achua, but I think you need somebody who's a little bruiser. Is Mitch back?
Yeah, Mitch is back.
Well, he's good for like half a season, but
I
uh,
just hope he stays healthy. He's a hell of a defensive player. But to your point about Hartenstein, the thing that I really liked about iHeart,
yeah,
his playmaking ability.
hell of a passer. Hell of a
Oh
passer.
my lord,
Hell of a
yo!
passer.
I was looking at a compilation of his assists
Yeah, he'll
and the
throw the
way
ball
he's
through a
able to hit
keyhole.
guys off the damn off on the back door cuts and all that stuff and the
Absolutely.
outlet passes.
Absolutely.
He's gonna be sorely missed.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
He adds another element to the offense.
That's
You
a
give him the ball on the elbow.
yeah, top of
Somebody
the key
cut
too.
right
He's
through
he's
off
really
the
good at
key,
the
off the nail.
the pick and drop pass as well. Cause he's a hell of a roller as well to the basket. And he's
Yup.
real fearless. He looks lumbering, but he has decent feet. He doesn't really get
Good
vertical.
finisher around the basket
Yeah, he
too,
has
man.
a
His
good
what's the
touch.
name is money. That little floater,
The floater,
little
yeah.
left hand floater.
He has a good touch, man. I always liked his game since he was in Houston. I kind of felt Houston lost a lot of grittiness when he's a scrappy guy. You
He
know,
could shoot the ball as well too, because that year that he played in Los Angeles with the Clippers, he shot 44% from three.
he got decent little screw. It looked funky. Got a little screwball, but it
Tibbs
worked.
didn't really utilize him from the perimeter like that. I thought that he should have used him a little bit more in pick and pop situations, but he didn't. But that's how Tibbs is though. Most of the time, his big guys on the offensive end, he'll just have them facilitate, and he keeps guys in that perpetual Joakim Noah type role.
Hmm.
You get the ball at the top of the key, a guy cuts, you hit him with the little back door. You know what I mean? Like, but he don't really allow these guys to
Yeah, but
showcase much of their offensive game.
I think he had better hands than Joe Kim though. Joe Kim, he kind of like he was real weird with his hands. Like if you didn't put it in his bread basket, he did a lot of bumbling and stumbling. So,
Joakim was solid though, man. Joakim was solid though.
by the time he got to
Joakim
the
was
Knicks,
solid.
he was done. He was Tibbsed out. Tibbs burned him out. It was
Nah, I think it was that 74 million or whatever it was. Joakim was like, let me just collect this
he,
paper.
he was on yachts before the season. He ain't come in shape,
Shout out
man.
to Joakim Noah. I love Joakim Noah.
Yo, shout out to Joe Kim, man. Let's pay some bills real quick.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
be right back. Give us a few. Don't forget to check out Let's Talk Fashion Aaron right here on YouTube, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, you already know the host, REEMO, A McQueen. Let's just get back into this shit.
Same
Now,
guy. Nothing changed.
now we had some talk, boxing. Everybody love boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk boxing. Virgil Ortiz had a crazy weekend. You want to
Yep.
give some insight on this? Yeah, you're the boxing fanatic over here, so you take this one away.
No, I'd like to hear what you got to say first about Virgil Ortiz. Matter of fact, before we even get to what happened this weekend with Virgil Ortiz,
Mm-hmm.
what was the expectation going into this weekend for Virgil Ortiz? Did you expect him to just steamroll this guy, get him the hell up out of there?
I didn't
Did
know
you
much.
know anything about Boachuk?
I didn't know much about the brother, but I just knew that the way that Golden Boy kind of handles his fighters, I didn't expect the man to be in a dog fight. So when going
Mm,
into it, I'm thinking, all right, Virgil got two bumps, soft touches, whatever you want to call them. I'm not gonna say soft because dudes is fighters, but he
yeah.
got in the ring twice and had a total of 2 rounds in a year or something like that. So I'm thinking they still trying to acclimate him and see what he really got at the new weight class. He finally officially made the weight, and god damn, he was in for a fight, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you. When he first got knocked out, I said, "Oh, what's going on here?" So I sat up some. I said, "All right, I guess I can't go to sleep on this one tonight." And they was scrapping. He looked like he got tired a little bit. 4 5. He picked up the pace, body work. All right, cool. But the dude, he was one of those, those Eastern European type, like tough and rugged. He take one and give one right back. It was back and forth the whole night. I'm enjoying myself thoroughly. I don't know how, you know me, king of the casuals. I'm sitting there like, oh, this is a good little scrap, man, on a random Saturday night. I ain't got nothing else going on. Let's go at it. Then I seen the other knockdown. I said, oh, we in for more. But he got knocked down and he got right back up on some Terminator shit. So I'm looking, I'm like, damn, Virgil got a little bit of dog in him that I ain't anticipate. Cause usually when you that guy and you get knocked down twice, you embarrassed. You pin your ass back, you're done for the night. But he went after it. And me personally, I didn't give a shit how this fight ended. Draw, Virgil win, whatever. I was thoroughly entertained at what I just watched. Robbery, I won't give it that. Virgil winning, the money won. The money won because Turkey and them hopped on the mic and they said, oh, I would love to make Virgil versus Crawford next. Yeah. All right, you just told everybody who doesn't really watch boxing where the fight should end up. Great fight. Did it go the right way? It's 50-50. But it was a hell of a fight and a hell of a night. That's what I would say.
I believe the fight went the right way. I
Mm-hmm.
believe the fight went the right way. I think that sometimes we get so caught up in our expectations.
Mm-hmm.
You got this one guy who's billed as the next best thing. This other guy we have very little information on, so we're expecting the next best thing to completely just decimate the guy that we have very little information on. And then that guy turns out to do far better than expected. So our perspective at that point is somewhat skewed.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens quite frequently. Another example of this in recent times is Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou.
Ngannou, yeah,
Francis
yeah,
Ngannou
yeah.
scored that knockdown, but then when you really go back and watch that fight,
Mm-hmm.
outside of that knockdown, Tyson Fury controlled the fight.
Yeah,
But when a guy has a moment that's that emphatic, that impactful,
yeah.
it can overshadow the steadiness of the other guy. And I gotta send a shout out and appreciation to the great Stephen Breadman Edwards. He has this term that he uses, the quiet rounds. Those are the rounds where nothing super glaring happens, but one guy is just steady. He's
Let me
just
a-
steady. And
let me ask
that's
you a
how I felt
question
about Virgil.
on that quotation, right? The steady rounds. The traditional way of thinking in boxing, the statement in boxing is usually those close rounds tend to lend to the champion. Why wouldn't he get that nod on in those close rounds or swing rounds or rounds that couldn't be clearly identified? Just saying that's based on the way boxing has been, traditionally been thought of.
Well, one of the judges actually gave Boachuk some of the close rounds. Because remember, one judge had it as a draw. Now, if the cards were super egregious, like let's say a 117, 111 or something like that, then you'd be like, come on, man, there's no way. But
Mm-hmm.
the cards were close. The judges that had Virgil winning, they only had him winning by what, 2 rounds, something like that?
See, but all right. So did
115, 113?
he do enough for those 2 rounds that they stating though? In your mind?
Personally, I believe he did.
Mm,
Personally, I believe he did. Because Boachuk, he had the bigger moments in the fight. And even in those moments,
yeah.
it's not like Virgil was out on his feet.
Mm-hmm. So was that second knockdown? Did he do enough to take back that round or to even out that round? That's that. I think that's kind of where the perception would have lied with that fight.
Yeah.
because I didn't per se do counting of the rounds because I was just having a good ass time watching this shit. I was like,
Likewise. But just watching the fight, I just felt like Virgil was just a lot more consistent throughout,
mhm.
and just by enough of a margin to where you could give him those rounds. That's how I felt about it. It wasn't like he completely blew Boachuk out of the water,
Mhm.
but I thought
Was
Boachuk, he gave a great account of himself. We got to give him credit for that too, as opposed to saying Virgil isn't that. He's
mhm.
whoop de whoop whoop. We also got to say, listen, Boachuk came in and he did his damn job.
as a champion, right, and being the casual, I appreciated that the guy with a title around his waist was a thumper. And he didn't
Yeah,
make it an easy night for the challenger because then it's like, all right, so how was this guy a champion? What am I watching? So for the
right.
fact that Virgil is supposed to be deemed as this next guy, generational talent, or whatever you want to label him to be by Oscar, the fact that he showed dogging him by getting up and getting after it, and two, this guy being a warrior, a thumper on his end, and fighting for his title that potentially got snatched that night. Great fight, hell of a fight. Would you want to
Yeah,
see it again?
absolutely. Absolutely. And oftentimes when there's controversy like this,
Yeah.
that's the only resolution. You got to run it back, and then we got to see a result that's a lot more definitive, a lot more
Does he
emphatic.
deserve the run back in your mind? Not saying that you already won it, wouldn't mind seeing it. Does he deserve it?
1000%. Based on the account that he gave himself,
Yeah.
he deserves it. For sure. Especially if it's that close of a fight. We're talking about a fight that the result was a majority decision.
Hmm.
This is not like a wide UD where the guy got 12 zipped or it was 9 rounds to 3, 10 rounds to 2, something like that.
Yeah. See, even his coach agrees with you as well, and he made a statement saying that if they can't get the Crawford fight, guy deserves a rematch. And based on some of the voices we hearing from the corner, he was saying like, "Yo, box him. You're not gonna just knock this guy out. He's tough." And he showed how gritty he was in that ring, and he didn't come to lay down, and it made for a hell of a night of boxing.
Yep. But I feel like it was necessary. I feel like it was necessary for Virgil to go through this process. And one thing that was very interesting to me prior to the fight was that Virgil said that he believed that Boachuk would be the first guy to go the distance with him. He had experience with this guy from sparring with him.
Yeah, they were familiar
So
with
he
one
knew
another.
what the temperature was. He
Yeah,
knew what it was.
knew how the kitchen get. The kitchen got hot.
Right. There was familiarity there. So this is not a guy that he expected to just walk all over.
Yeah,
Virgil himself anticipated this fight going the distance. It did. Boachuk, he gave a great account of himself. And I think that Virgil learned from this fight. I'm not gonna say that he did learn, because that's the one thing we always say. Guys go through
yeah,
experience that
he could learn a few
he
few
could
years later.
learn.
Uh-huh.
You got to go back and be honest with the assessment, with the evaluation, and look at the areas in which he did well, and look at the areas in which he could have limited Boachuk's success.
Yeah, and improve his training because he gassed out early, so he got to address that as well because when you name these other fighters at this in the division, there's no room to hide. And we'll go through some of the names that's available in this division that shit might be one of the most stacked divisions to date. We named a couple names last week where we were comparing different divisions, but 154 is nothing to sneeze at. And me personally, I don't think anybody leaves there with a O because there's so much action down there and so much willingness to, want to fight each other. And another thing is, some of these guys haven't had the opportunity to ever be champion, to ever raise their hand with a belt around their waist. So I think the hunger at that division is a little bit different than some of these other divisions.
True indeed. And to that point, to add on to that, you got to think about some of these guys that have won,
Mm-hmm.
right? One fights against guys that are current champion. For example, Brian Mendoza. I was looking at the Ring Mag top 10 in 154. Brian Mendoza has a win over the guy who is currently the WBC champ at 154.
Mm.
But that guy wasn't the WBC champion at the time of that victory.
See that?
So if you're Brian Mendoza, you're looking at it like, damn, I know this is possible for me.
Yeah.
I know this is possible for me. Or if you're
But
one of these other guys, you're like, damn, like, yo, this is not out of reach.
it's no slim pickings in that area right there, because the Charlo man even said he's making his way back to the division, and he kind of ruled the shit with an iron fist, because he took a L, came back, knocked the guy out that he took a L to. They deemed it a draw. Brian
Yeah.
Castano
Yep.
knocked him out. We didn't see him since. So he took the tough route. He took the dirt road in order to get his belts. And for him to say he's coming back into the division, he didn't take no punishment against Canelo. He took a punch where he said, you know what? He made a business decision. Like, all right, there is divisions for a reason. Where do you see him falling into the fold at the 54 division?
Got to see what he looks like when he comes back, and hopefully the descent back to 154 doesn't impact him too negatively
Mhm.
physiologically, because we've seen in the past, the most famous example I can think of off the top of my head is Roy
Roy
Jones Jr.
Jones. Roy Jones. I knew he was gonna say that.
Jones, Roy Jones went up to heavyweight,
Mhm.
came back down to 175, and the reflexes weren't the same. The punch resistance wasn't the same. So we got to see how coming back down to 154 looks for Jermell Charlo.
Mm. Yeah,
Because that's the one thing about him, right? Like his nickname was Iron Man, and part of it was because of his durability. One thing you could count on it again with Jermell Charlo at 154, and he's fought some guys that can punch. Like Jason Rosario can
yeah,
punch.
yeah.
Even my guy Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison got like a 60 something percent KO ratio.
He
So
was
he
so
can
and he
punch.
was and he was crafty as hell, but he picked that puzzle apart. You know,
Yep.
his Tony's issue, his chin didn't hold up with his cardio. Those two hand in hand, they went at the same time. Every single fight. Every time he lost, both of them went at the same time. But I think Charlo, his route back into the division, it didn't get any easier, because the players he fought Lubin, but
Yep.
Lubin, he's more seasoned now. He's more angry. He's more aggressive. His approach is a little different. He probably might, at this point in time, he might be more serious about the sport, and being so close to that pinnacle and not being able to, reach that mountaintop might be the driving force in his career right now. You know, Fundora, he lost to Fundora. Fundora ended up turning out to be a champion at you know what I'm saying? So it's like every name is right there amongst one another, and it's not many degrees of separation. The conversation shouldn't be about money with any of these guys except for who, Bud and Earl. But I hope they don't bring that to this division, because the excitement and the willingness for these guys to actually fight one another is there. Tszyu, he's there. Like we said, Fedora, Earl might make his way into the division. It's plenty of bump. It's plenty of bump there. I feel so bad for my guy, Keith Thurman, but he's a man without land. He ain't at 47 or 54. He ain't healthy. He ain't sick. I don't know what's going on there, but the names and the fights are there. And I
Well,
think
Keith was supposed to be at 54.
Yeah, no, he wasn't gonna fight at the full 50. It was some kind of stupid agreement that he had going
Well,
on.
no, he was going to fight at 55. Originally, it was supposed to be at 54, but then something happened to where they were going to take Tszyu's title
Mhm.
out of the equation by making it a 155 catchweight.
Oh, okay. I thought it was below. I thought it was at 53 or something like that.
No, it was like 55. That was
Oh, okay.
what the catchweight was supposed to be, but then he had another injury.
Yeah,
It's a shame with him because he appears to be snake bitten by injuries. Like he just seems to be prone at this point.
yeah,
Just misfortune.
yeah.
But remember, what's name stepped in as the replacement, Brian Mendoza, against Tszyu. It was originally supposed to be Keith Thurman.
No, it was
Brian Mendoza was a replacement.
no,
Then
wasn't
Brian,
it? Wasn't it Fundora was a replacement for him, and he beat Tszyu. Yeah, it was Fundora. Fundora stepped in.
Fendora was a replacement. You're right about
Yeah,
that.
Fundora stepped in and got the opportunity, and he got cut. Like you say, he lost
Yeah,
the belt. You know,
and that was unfortunate too for
I'm about to say
Tszyu
the same shit. That was unfortunate that
because that was not an intentional elbow.
it
Like
wasn't.
Tszyu went to dunk, and I mean he went to duck and
It
ran straight
wasn't
into
dirt.
the elbow.
It wasn't dirty, and he was actually I was boxing him to that point, and he showed a lot of attrition to fight through a bloody face, blood in his eye, blood in his blood all over the place. One of the bloodiest fights we've seen in a long
That
time.
was mismanagement because had they just stopped the fight
All
at
the
the
fight,
fourth round,
he kept the
it would have
strap.
been a no contest.
Yep, kept the strap, but they didn't make it.
Tszyu was too much of a dog for that though.
Yeah, but that's why you have handlers, man, to make
And
business.
he ain't make no excuses either. So shout out to Tszyu.
Yeah, shout out to
Tszyu was like
it's no
it
excuses
just
down
went the
there.
way it went.
Absolutely. There's no excuses down there. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. Everybody gets it on. And, when your time is called, it's either you ready. What is it? Fight or flight?
Yep.
That's the saying.
I still got Bud as the top guy though. I
Okay.
got Bud as the top guy.
Yeah, I might agree with that.
I
I
think
think,
there's a degree of separation. If there is anybody who's separating themselves
yeah.
by even the slightest of margins, I feel like it's Terrence Crawford.
All right. So give me 5. You got Terrence number 1.
Terrence is number one for me.
Okay. Give me a couple names after that. Just on the spot, y'all.
Terrence is number one.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, before we even do this, let me look at who the hell is in the division right now.
Off the arm, not googling nothing.
No. I'm not googling for that purpose, but I'm just looking at who is in the division that I could just visually see it.
I'm gonna go Bud 1,
Yep.
Charlo 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him credit for what he was and what he's done, like in most sports. 3, I'd probably go with Tszyu.
Okay.
4, probably Sebastian, and 5. Would I give it to Virgil? Maybe Virgil. And this is without Arrow debuting at 54, because we gotta see what this looks like, before we give him that. But yeah, that might be my 5.
That's not a bad five. That's not a bad five. That's not a bad five. Because for me, my five will look similar, but the fifth one,
Mm-hmm.
it would have to be between like Lubin and Ramos, somebody like that.
Okay. So yeah, that's a good toss up, because you got Lubin beating what you call it then, Virgil, in that sense.
I don't know if I would have him beaten. I don't know if I would have him beaten Virgil. But the thing is, for one, as you pointed out previously,
Mhm.
Virgil has only had one real fight at 54. The other ones have been at some
Catchy.
sort of catch weight.
Yeah.
It's like talking about Ryan Garcia at 140, but he's never really fought at 140. You know what I mean? He's always fought at like 143.
Shout out to Ryan, man. Mr. Can Do Right, man. Kid. Hate
So it's
people.
like it's hard to say. It's like you should be there, but
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All right,
you
well,
should
yeah,
be there.
that ain't bad. That ain't bad. It's not a bad problem to have in that division. Let's just say that.
Nah, not at all.
There's enough bump for everybody to get bumped off. Let's just say that. So now the bigger issue in the division is actual communication and consolidation of talent with promoters. That's probably the biggest hurdle in all of this. Oscar overselling his fighters. A lot of those 54 names are over at the PBC. And then you got Bud not really committing to 154 being his land that he wants to take over. So it's like uh a lot of what we could have could be halted by just the promotional aspect. You got Turkey saying he wants certain fights and not others. So it's like, give us something without be deterring the whole division once again. Because there's a lot of names, like we just said, that it could get gray and be enjoyable for the public. And I think this is one of the divisions where diehards and casuals can enjoy the fruits of this labor. But adding roadblocks with these promoters isn't the way for this to work out, man.
True, true. But I think once the belts are consolidated,
Mhm.
I think it will become a lot easier to make certain fights. I think it
Okay,
will be a
so
lot easier to make certain fights. Like I'm looking like, for example, we got Fundora and Spence projected to fight for the WBC title.
mhm.
And if I'm not mistaken, Bud might be the interim right now for the WBO, and he's also the WBA champion. So that's
no dis-
potentially two belts.
no disrespect to Earl. Earl hasn't done shit in the division yet to be the one being called out. With all those names that we discussed prior to, why would Errol be the one that's discussed first? That's my thing. Especially in title contention already. That's
In
bullshit.
house, in
That's
house,
that's
the
bullshit though.
money.
Come on now. That and
Tim Tszyu, he
that's
falls out of the race because of the cut, so
but
they're likely to have that rematch right away.
imagine that though, and imagine that if you would have made a business decision, the business would have had to go through you. And then they don't even give you the opportunity to run it back based on America seeing me bleeding from eyebrow to throat, like pause, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Imagine that. And then a man who we last seen, no disrespect, y'all fans, just got bludgeoned. Like he got beat up bad. And he gets the next shot. Come on now. At the higher division where he's never fought at, that's bullshit. Come on now.
It's the money.
Yeah, the
You got to
money,
get that money, man. Get that money. I
the
mean,
money.
worst case, I mean, best case scenario for the PBC,
Mm-hmm.
this is in house. So, regardless of who wins, who loses, the PBC wins.
Because the Bella stays here.
The belt stays here,
Yeah.
and then the winner gets to face Terrence Crawford. Because in addition to that fight, that last fight with what's my guy's name? Madrimov, right? In addition to that being for the WBA,
Mm-hmm.
that also became a WBC title eliminator.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
the
yeah.
winner of that fight was lined up for the winner of
Now, all right,
That's
hold
the
on, hold on,
thing.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Stay right there, right? With all these belts being scattered, you know who scattered the belts, though?
Yeah, Jermell
Charlo.
Charlo. Yeah.
So if anything, champion and recess or whatever you want to call, I should be able to say, forget all of that shit y'all got planned. I'm back. That's the purpose of champion and recess. No,
Yeah, but I believe after a certain point in time, they may have stripped him.
stripped him of that. But they stripped
Yeah.
him of the belts already. That's why they had the interims, and the point of the interims was, and him being placed in champion recess. If he decides to come back to the division, that it'll be the opportunity for him to fight, yay or nay.
Well,
This
let's
shit,
see where they got. Let's see where they got my guy Sebastian Fundora. Because if he's the full champion at this point, then that champion in recess that goes completely out the window.
and even with him, he wasn't even given a grace period for getting beat up. Like he won, but he took a bruising himself, broken nose and broken ribs and all this other shit. Like boxing doing these guys bad.
Yeah, they do. That's the one thing about boxing, man. It's just like it seems like there's no real rhyme or reason to how things go, other than we want this guy to hold the championship
Yeah,
because
the business must continue because uh Arrow lost, Bud won all them belts, and then turned around, they stripped him right away.
I'm looking at the WBC rankings right now as of July 24th.
Yeah.
They have Sebastian Fundora as the full champion.
See? And I guess it ain't no more recess. Forget
Nope.
recess time. All right.
And the WBC silver champion is Erickson Lubin at 154.
Yeah, well, you know what? You right. Boxing doesn't wait for no man. So
Nope.
you 1,000% right over there with that. But moving along, right? I just want to touch on we said selling these guys too high, too low, and Oscar, him having a conversation with Turkey or whatever the case might be. But do you think Oscar like overhypes his fighters, oversells them to the public?
Hmm. I wouldn't necessarily say that he oversells them
Mm-hmm.
because with these guys, you never really hear crazy promotion or aggrandizement from a sense that these guys are supposed to be this, that, and the third. But I do think that Oscar and Golden Boy at large, it feels like they intentionally fatten up these guys' resumes. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
build it to a point where these guys look like killers. So they don't necessarily have to say this guy is the next pound for pound king or this guy is the next this, that, and the third. You just look at 40-0, 38 knockouts. But then when you peel back the layers and you look at the resume, you like, okay, well, who has this guy fought?
Yeah, yeah. See, the issue for me when it comes to Oscar is the build up, and then if they happen to fall, he just goes nuclear silent with it, And I haven't seen him take the attempt to build somebody back up. He just he just goes on to the next one, like you know what I'm saying. There's no like, if a guy's 40 fights in, and you telling me that he's that guy, and he falls flat, anybody can lose. But if the performance doesn't weigh to what the record is, it's my saying, like, what the hell I've been watching for 40 fights. So now you got a situation where Williams Zepeda is the next guy in the stable. Like Virgil, regardless of what he came out with the victory, we might have learned a few things from him, and he might be a little bit more green than we actually thought, based on lack of activity, health issues, whatever the case might be. There's room for improvement there. We have identified that. Now the next person up is Virgil. I mean,
It's a pay, yeah.
Zepeda. What do you think, and how do you think he moves Zepeda next?
Same way he's been moving them. Same way he's been moving them.
So let's play
But
promoter. Let's play promoter hat.
yes,
As the promoter of William Zepeda, how would you move Zepeda?
the same way they've been moving them. Same way they've been moving them. And I think it's very, very difficult when you don't have the roster that can provide certain challenges to the fighters. I think that's where it's extremely important for fighters, not just for the promoters, but for the fighters themselves to peep out the landscape. And fighters, to some degree, they got to take their development into their own hands. And I understand that it can be extremely difficult not to become a victim of your own success, to where, okay, I'm over here comfortable doing these certain things, and I'm matched up with opponents that will afford me to do the things that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
But if you really want to look long term, when it comes down to fighting the marquee names or the guys that are going to be real tough competition, it's pertinent for me to fight these guys along the way that give me different looks. It's almost like a video game, right? When you fight in let's say Mortal Kombat, for instance.
Oh, I like this. Go ahead.
After each level, they have that hierarchy, that totem pole.
Yeah, where you climbing up the totem pole.
When you climbing up, before you get to Goro and Shang Tsung and them guys, you gotta fight Reptile, and you gotta fight Cyrax, and you gotta fight
Scorpio and all of them. Yeah,
exactly. Before you get to Shao Kahn and Noob Saibot and all them other people, and then after each level, you see your avatar rising up through the rungs and
through the rank,
going up.
See, what I would do in a situation with this guy, first off, I'm the promoter. I'm getting him a belt.
Yeah.
You know, Baranchik, that'll be who I'm targeting. If Loma don't want to fight him as a countryman, whatever the case is, it's none of my business. But I'm gonna get my guy a belt. So we're gonna scratch off the contender name. No more contender. He's a champion. Now the conversation of business is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm not a contender. I'm a belt holder now. So now if Tank or whoever has any ambition to be undisputed, it must go through my guy. You gotta sit at the table with your promoters or whatever and make the business works. Until that time comes, I could fight Joe Blow Schmo on this side of the thing. I could fatten up the title the title fight a little bit more. I could get a few more knockouts, and now the public sees this guy with a belt. Casuals. Who's this guy with a belt? And he's just icing shit.
And he's making defenses too.
Yeah, Loma ain't knocking nobody out like that. Well, he's stopping anybody at this point. Shakur damn near ain't gonna knock nobody out. So now those guys with belts and the casual guys like, how they got belts and they ain't really knocking nothing out, whatever the case is. They're not appreciating the sweet science. But my guy has a belt and he's entertaining. So whatever you're getting from Tank Davis holding a belt, my guy's doing on this side too. Now the public wants to talk about us a little bit more as a necessity fight versus a contender fight. And if I ain't want to pay for the contender fight, I'm not letting that go to purse bid. Because now my guy he's one of them now. You know what I'm saying? The conversation becomes a little bit different. But I don't know if Oscar could wait that long on selling his product based on the fact, is he really overhyping him? And that's why I question his decisions. Because if his guy is really like that, he can go that route.
Oh yeah.
But in his heart and heart, if he really feels this guy isn't really built like that, you kind of gotta sell out high and take the Tank fight. And that's just the quagmire in between it all.
And I think Zepeda is everything that he's advertised to be. Now, whether or not that equates to him being a reigning champion or a unified champion, who the hell knows? So let's say you put him in there with any of these top guys, in the event that he loses to them, I don't think that diminishes him in any way. Similarly to the conversation that we had about gatekeepers.
Yeah.
You got to be of a certain level, a certain caliber to be able to deal with those guys. If you ain't,
yeah, you get you'll be seen, you'll be shown, your spots to be shown. Just like
for sure.
like my man Cambosis, he has a hell of a record. Well, it has
Yep.
a hell of a resume based on what
Hell
he
of a
did
resume.
one night, and he's gotten there a couple times with some names, but he's basically in the gatekeeper status
Yep. And I
based
don't think
on
there's anything wrong with that, man, being a gatekeeper, because I think that being a gatekeeper suggests that you are of a certain level. You may not be of the elite,
no,
but if your ass ain't elite, you ain't gonna beat this guy.
but getting his
And that's
name on people's resumes, that means something to some of these people. Like, as far as marketing wise,
damn fly is bothering me.
getting jacked up by a fly is crazy, man.
But yo, Zepeda, in my personal opinion, he's shown that by dispatching a guy like Maxi Hughes. We can say, oh, his resume ain't this, that, and the third, but did you see Maxi Hughes' fight with Kambosos?
Yeah, where
He was looking like Prime Jackson 5, bro, dancing machine. He was skating on my guy Kambosos.
Campbell's
using angles.
Yeah, but the business side saved that situation right there.
For sure. But what's name was getting busy in that fight, Maxi Hughes. Maxi Hughes can fight. He don't got the power, but he got good footwork. And then when what's the name start putting some barbecue sauce on those ribs, the legs slowed down.
He chopped that goddamn wood down.
Yo, my guy that he was just in there with, Giovanni Cabrera. Giovanni Cabrera just went the distance with Pitbull Cruz in his prior fight.
Yeah, he went tap dancing with Pitbull. Pitbull couldn't really get up with him. Bad feet.
Once again, my guy Zepeda started putting that Sweet Baby Rays on them damn ribs. Put water in that basement, took air out them tires, and
I like that.
He stopped him. He got him the hell up out of there. Giovanni Cabrera ain't no slouch. So again, it's like you got to be of a certain level. So if he loses to a guy like Tank, if he loses to a guy like Shakur, it don't mean that he's a bad fighter. Because all the rest of these guys ain't going to be able to do it to him.
Well, what we could say is, boxing is in a decent space. And the fans should be pleased at what we're getting because we're getting fights very often. The divisions are getting closer and closer, and the names that are the top of the division, there's not much room for them to wiggle because a lot of these in between size divisions, they haven't been able to translate up top, and where they're at currently kind of is like the squeeze spot for them. So I'd rather we get it now than them go up and then not really be a 40 or, you know what I'm saying, a 47. Fight with what you got now and give the people what they want and give it to us right now.
1000%. And the other thing too is this, in addition to everything that you just said, because I'm with that wholeheartedly. You just don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
And it would be better to get these guys, some of these dudes, where they're in their athletic prime.
Yeah, then age
as opposed to now, you wait a couple years and then now the guy not as quick as he used to be, not as fast as he used to be. Them reflexes ain't as sharp as they was. We getting them at the peak of their cognitive function to where their hand-eye coordination, everything is on point. So we can really see what these guys look like. And I believe that's part of what makes the Tank Loma fight lose maybe just a little bit of his luster.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to say that Tank and company waited Loma out. They aged him out because you could also argue that what, 2017, Tank wasn't in his prime. So it's like,
Yeah.
you can't say like, okay, it's good for this guy to fight this guy when he's in his prime and the other guy isn't in his prime. You know, the timelines just don't match up.
It was a lot of
But for
elements.
some of these guys where that timeline is a little bit closer, where maybe they got 2, 3, maybe 4 years max of a disparity in age, let's get these guys to where now, okay, these guys are still in their athletic prime, so we can see them at the peak of their powers.
Absolutely, man. Sorry for my man Keith Thurman. He kind of was fell into the conundrum of that himself. But before
Keith
we
is
get
a prime example. Prime example.
crazy, before we get out of here, you know our favorite part of the show,
Yes, sir.
respectfully. I'm just saying, where we highlight, you know, some people who might not have gotten their flowers when they were in their given sport or profession or, you know, whatever. And I'm gonna start this week off with one of my guys. You know, we got the New York hats going on, you know, Subway Series, Mets,
Yep.
Yankees, you know, but I want to highlight one of Brooklyn's own. So I'm gonna go through some numbers and we're gonna talk about this real quick before we jump out of here. When you hear NBA player averaging 19 points,
Ooh.
7 assists,
Ooh.
43% from field goal range, 78% from the free throw line, over a span of, let's see, how many years is this total? Fuck it, don't even worry about the total years. Let's go through some of the stats more, a little bit detail. Right? Rookie year, we starting off 15 points, 15.7 assists, 17 points, 8 assists, 21 points, damn near 9 assists, 17 and 9, 23 and 8, 22 and 8, 23 and 7, 20 and 8, 22 and 8, 20 and 8,
Ooh.
20 and 8, 19 and 9, 21 and 8, 16 and 6, 16 and 5, 13 and 4, and then his last year 3 and 3. But he played a handful of games. Does that not give the resume of somebody who should be in the Hall of Fame? Just by sound alone.
That guy is a hooper. When you said 20 and 8 multiple times, you know who came to my mind? I know it's not the guy that you're about to mention, but the guy that came to mind for me was Steph. Because at one point in time, Steph was one of the few, Stephon Marbury, in NBA history.
That's
who that is?
That's my guy. That's my guy.
Oh, shit. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. I'm not even going to lie to you. I didn't know that. But I remember at one point in time, Stephon was one of the few players in NBA history to average 20 and 8.
Listen, man. Bro. One of the most underrated players that we don't hear spoken about in the NBA, based on the fact that he came out in a crazy draft, the 96 draft. Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Marcus Camby, Nash, Ray Allen. The list goes on with who came. Who else was on there? Was it Antoine Walker on there? It was a plethora of talent that came out that 96 draft. But with those numbers read off alone, it's like, how do we just sneeze at somebody's accomplishments that sound like that? He might not have had the team success that we anticipated, but I could put his numbers up to somebody like a Tim Hardaway.
Yeah.
He's in the hall. Gary Payton, he didn't win a chip. You know, defensive player of the year. I get those individual accolades, but
he didn't win a chip his last year in Miami.
Did he? Or did he win one in LA? One of the two.
No. They didn't win in LA because they had Karl Malone.
Karl Malone, you're right.
I think his last year, 2006, with Miami.
Yeah, I think he was on that team. Yeah, with White Chocolate.
Yep.
But to ring off what was stated is like, how do we just like leave that off the table, man? Because at no point in time was Stephon Marbury an easy out for any guard. They knew they
No.
had to get a full night's sleep, and Steph was probably one of the most powerful guards playing during that era, where he'll dunk on your ass too at 6'1", 6'2".
Steph is strong.
Yeah, he changed the game, man. That cradle move, that
I was thinking that when did he go to the basket and
looking like a damn running back, man, with the ball. But so that's my highlighted guy. Respectfully, I'm just saying, Stephon Marbury, hell of a career. He went over there to China and became a martyr. They got a statue of my guy out
in
there.
Beijing.
He learned the language. He got dual citizenship. He coached out
Yeah.
there, and you know the NBA should reconsider that, man, because Steph, he was one of those ones.
Yo, low key, Steph could probably get into the Hall of Fame twice,
Mm-hmm.
both as a player, also as an ambassador.
Yeah,
Because of his time in China, like yo, he's played a huge role in the global reach of basketball.
Basketball.
Think about this: the man went to China. They got a statue of him out in Beijing.
Yep, he won a couple championships out there
with the Ducks.
He even got a integrated the Starberries, the business model over there, and then he teamed up with the technology over there. He has glow in the dark basketballs. He has certain kind of glasses. He's done a lot of things over there in a short period of time, and he enjoyed the society that he actually learned the language. He integrated with the food, everything. So big shout out to Steph, man. Who would you be highlighting this week?
My guy, you know what I'm saying, as a fellow small person, I gotta highlight my guy, Eastern Michigan, Earl Boykins.
Oh man, I ain't hear about
Earl Boykins averaged damn near 9 points a game at 5'5". I think the exact average is like 8.9 per game, but I think that's pretty remarkable when you consider his size.
Small dude.
He was like 5'5", 135 pounds. He is in the NBA record books as the smallest person to score 30 points in a game. I think the next person after him might be like Calvin Murphy or somebody like that. Might be Calvin Murphy or Nate Robinson. But Earl is the smallest person to play to score 5'5" in a game. They also say the dude was remarkably strong, bench press over 300 pounds. Denver Nuggets, when he was with the Nuggets, when he was over there with Melo, not only was he hooping, but they actually had one of the coolest promos ever in NBA history, where all of the fans who were 5'5" and under could attend a Nuggets home game for $5.50.
That's fire.
It's like the coolest shit.
That's fire.
The NBA has ever done.
They bought into that guy, man. I enjoyed watching Earl, especially when he was out there in Denver, because he backed up Andre Miller. And you didn't lose much production. You didn't lose much production with Earl, man.
Earl Cahoot,
floor general, tough guy, man.
Earl Cahoot, man. He was the consummate professional, and I think that in particular, coupled with his game, is what afforded him the NBA career that he had. He was a journeyman where he played for, I want to say about 8 or 9 teams, something crazy like that.
Yeah, he played for New Jersey, Cleveland, Orlando, the Clippers, Golden State, Denver for 3 seasons.
Milwaukee, played for Milwaukee,
Charlotte, Washington, Milwaukee again, and then he ended up in Houston for a couple of games, handful of games. But you know, he stuck around to be 5'5" and be in the NBA for that period of time. He walked into the league in '99 and he left in
undrafted too.
Yeah, 2012. Man.
He was undrafted.
Career. Great career, man.
And he's a coach now, if I'm not mistaken. I think for UTEP.
Yeah, listen, that's one of those guys you would say he broke the mold. They broke the mold with Earl.
Yep.
and he over accomplished what people would have thought he would have done in the NBA, and it's big kudos for. That's why we do this, man. We highlight the little people. We highlight the people that the people are overlooked, and I think this is one of the dopest part of the shows, man. You know,
Earl to me is one of them guys. You know how you talk about certain little guys like AI, Damon Stoudemire. Shout out to
oh,
Mighty
Mighty
Mouse.
Mouse was my
Shout out
guy.
to Mighty Mouse.
Yeah,
When you talk about guys like that, Chris Jackson,
yeah, 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 yeah. You know, sometimes those guys aren't given the
Robert
headline.
Pack is another one.
Yeah. Robert Pack. What's my other guy? He wasn't that tall either.
Jermaine Nelson is another one.
Jameer,
Another
that's what I was
tall
talking
guy.
about.
Jermell
Jameer.
was a hooper. Yo, that run that he had at
Mhm.
St. Joseph's, him and
Yeah.
Delonte West,
Yup.
you couldn't tell me nothing that year, man.
I got one more name for
I
you.
was dialed in with them dudes.
Ty Lawson.
Ty Lawson
Ty
was a
Lawson
hooper.
was a dog, man. Dog.
I'm still sad that my guy had back issues.
Who that?
TJ Ford
Oh,
out of
TJ
Texas.
Ford. Yeah, he broke his back. Yeah.
TJ Ford was a hooper.
TJ Ford.
But
Yeah.
guys like that, when they
Yup.
small but they got game,
Yeah.
one of the things that people always say is, man, the league is lucky them dudes wasn't at least 6'5", 6'6", something
Oh
like
yeah.
that. Earl
Oh
was
yeah.
one of them dudes, but Earl, for Earl to average 9 points a game
Mm-hmm.
at 5'5", could you imagine if this dude was
Yup.
6'3", 6'4"?
Yep. Imagine dudes like Ed Cota or Khalil El Amin. Like
Yup.
dudes wasn't 6'2", but it was just it, man. So you know what I mean. Definitely, you know what I mean. We're gonna keep highlighting these athletes and these people that we feel as though didn't get their flowers, and that's it for the week, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. Welcome to another episode of the Casuals. It's your boy REEMO, aka to the AKA to Mr.
There you
AKA.
go. You could just sum it up that way. I was about to say,
Yes,
you ain't got to go
man.
through all the AKAs.
Absolutely not. And that's the man and the queen. The
Yes,
computers
sir.
are the computers. You know how to
Get
get in
computer
contact with us.
spewing.
Getting computers pewing. Don't forget to rate, comment, like, subscribe, share. Tell somebody who likes sports conversations that we just have casual conversations here, you know. Until next week, we out of here, man.
Till
Peace.
next week, folks. Peace.